Okay, so in the next couple of lessons what we're going to be looking at is trigonometry. Now trigonometry is the study of triangles. The type of triangles we're going to be looking at mainly at the beginning is right angle triangles. And we're also going to be learning this rather fantastic word, SOHCAHTOA. Now SOHCAHTOA is going to be very, very useful to us, and we're going to be using that in the next lesson. But before we do that, there's a couple of things I have to go over to make sure that everyone here is perfect at beforehand. Now, first of all, something that we should have all seen before, and I know we have because I taught it to you, and that is Pythagoras' theorem. Now, Pythagoras' theorem, and again, you should know this off by heart by now, is that the longest side of a right angle triangle is, the length of the longest side in a right angle triangle squared is the same as the other two sides squared and added together. So in this example, that would be c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now the way that we use this formula is as so. Here we have two sides 4 and 3, and we want to know what the length of this side is. And we know that x squared, so the longest side, is equal to 4 squared plus 3 squared. Now we know what these values are, so that's 4 squared is 16, 3 squared 9. And we also know that 16 add 9 is 25. So if x squared is 25, what that means is that x is 5. Do not forget that you have to square root it to find out what x is, because that's quite a common mistake. And another common mistake is adding these numbers before squaring them. You have to square them and then add them. Now in this example, it's a little bit different. We already know the longest side. So we know that x squared plus 8 squared is the same as 10 squared. Now, another way of writing that would be that x squared equals the longest side 10 squared, take away 8 squared. So we know that x squared is equal to 100 take away 64. So x squared equals 36. And if x squared is 36, that means that x must be 6. Okay, so again, you should have seen this before. Just a quick revision. Something you shouldn't have seen before is how to label triangles. Now, in right angle triangles, there are 3 types of sides. Hypotenuse, that is always the longest side of a right angle triangle. So with this right angle triangle, this side here is my hypotenuse. Now the opposite is always the one that is opposite from the angle, either the angle given or the angle that you want. So the one that is opposite from here, that is this side here, opposite. And therefore, adjacent is the one that is left over, the side that is touching the angle. So here we have the opposite and the adjacent. Hypotenuse, always the longest side, so it's always the one that you can find first. Now, all that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a whole bunch of examples for this to demonstrate. So here, longest side is the hypotenuse, my angle opposite my angle, and therefore I'm left with the adjacent. And here again, I've got my longest side. The angle across from my angle is the opposite, and so I'm left with the adjacent. Again, first one is always the hypotenuse, opposite the angle, adjacent, next the angle, the one that's left over. Longest side, opposite, therefore I'm left with the adjacent. Here, longest side, the longest side never touching the right angle, opposite, therefore that is the adjacent. Longest side, opposite, adjacent, and the last one, longest side, opposite, adjacent. Now, it is very, very important that you know how to correctly label triangles, because that is how we use this word SOHCAHTOA. Now you're going to find out more about this in the lesson.